even though we're a seated class, I just thought I'd post a lecture because I really don't want to we only meet 2 days a week. I don't want to get into the point where we're wasting one whole class trying to go through the material. So I'm going to try to post brief lecture videos, hopefully keep them brief so that, one, you won't get bored with them, and two, maybe entice you to read the text. So we're going to try in this case is understand some of the challenges of what it takes to secure information, what information security is, why it's important, the types of attackers out there, some basic principles of defense. So some of the challenges for securing information is, one, there is no simple solution. As fast as we create new things, somebody's trying to break it. The amount of ways you can get access, the number of networks, the number of computers, a lot of that stuff just makes it very difficult to secure all information. There's so many different types of attacks, and defending against all of them is often very difficult. So just a brief snapshot of some of the most recent attacks. You can read about these in the books, but some of them actually become pretty scary. Is that, like that first one, remotely controlling a car. Hackers actually got into a Jeep, was able to control a Jeep Cherokee. Now, granted, it was a test track, so it was, wasn't a malicious act, but it was showing you that you had access. They can control everything about the car. The speed, the air conditioning, the radio, the changing, the braking. It forced Jeep to, I think, recall 1.4, 1.8 million cars. Logged into aircraft systems while on the plane, hacked into the entertainment system. You probably heard about Yahoo and some of its troubles with keeping its, probably half a billion to a billion subscriber user information. So there are definitely tons of security stuff. In class, you could actually investigate a few others, read about a few others. But I just want to let you know that it is out there. There are tons of attacks. Reasons for successful ones. The way you can be vulnerable to try to share your information is just large. Just too many different ways to get access to data. Sometimes configuration, either we leave default configurations alone. Sometimes it used to be that when you bought a router from Best Buy, all the login and password information for that was admin. Most people just plugged it in and it worked, but that left a wide open hole into their home network. So sometimes just forgetting to configure security equipment or your networking equipment causes problems. Sometimes it's just poorly designed software. The developer of the code just forgets to think about security. He's more concerned about the graphics and the speed of the execution, but forgets about the system. Hardware limitations. Is there another loophole, another gap? Is there a way to exceed the amount of memory you've got? And then you got enterprise-based. Enterprise-based is, those are for businesses, and it's like, do they have a policy? Do they even know how to protect what data is important? So there's a lot of reasons why things are successful. Here is just breaking down some of the difficulties defending, but some of the ones I think are becoming more widespread. One is universally connected. So between the internet and other aspects, we get just anybody in the world can attack you. And the increased speed, I can do millions of computers quickly. So, and of course, these two here, I should say last two, but it's the attacks are getting more sophisticated, but the tools they're using, and we're going to go through a lot in this class, is relatively simple to use. So it doesn't take a PhD in computer science to do this stuff. You can be a middle college student and cause problems. So the question is, what is information security? How do, I got to understand what it is. You got to understand what security is, how security relates to information security, because we know about, locking our car for making it secure, locking our homes, putting locks or security systems on our house. But it's maybe a little bit different for information. And then what kind of terminology relates to that security? So what security is, it's basically to be free from danger. I mean, that's the goal when you're talking about security. But it's actually not to be free. It's actually the process that achieves freedom. So it isn't just to be free from danger. It's all the things I put in place to allow freedom. Even you can go back to when people put walls around their castles and moats and stuff. It was the process of creating that gave them the sense of freedom, that they weren't going to be attacked. Of course, as as security increases, what happens? Our convenience is often decreased. So the more secure we make it, the harder it is to get into it, even for us. And of course, that's where you find people writing down their passwords and making things easier because they can remember it easier. So let's look at what the definition of information security is. So understand the concept of what security is. But information security is the task of security information that is in a digital format. Stuff that can be manipulated by a microprocessor, saved on a disk drive or a network drive. It's data that's transmitted over a network. But the goal for information security is to ensure that the measures we put in place properly, when we do them correctly, ward off attacks, or at least prevent the total collapse of a system when an attack happens. I mean, saying we can't stop an attack, but I want to make sure that I mitigate an attack that happens. Now, there are three types of information protection, and for an acronym, it's called CIA: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality says I only want the approved individuals to access the information. So you've got login and passwords. Make sure you can only have information to your account. When you log into the school account, your login and password has certain permissions to allow you to have access only to certain places in the network. You don't have access to everything. So you're going to make sure I'm starting to see who can have access. Now, integrity says I want to make sure the information is there, it's correct, and nobody's changed it. And then availability, I want to make sure that the information is available when you want it. It's available to authorized users, but it's authorized when they want it. So it's available when you need it, whether it's 24/7, whether it's 8 hours a day, whatever the case may be, whatever your company or your school wants, it's making sure that it's available when you need it. Oops, one too many. Now, there's three different layers that this can take place with. I mean, here's my information, and here are the three: availability, integrity, confidentiality, CIA, to protect my information. And it's transmitted, it's processed, it's stored. But I want to make sure I can protect via the products I'm using. I need to make sure I'm protecting it by the training of my people, and I'm going to protect it by the policies and procedures I put in place that says, okay, what happens if I'm attacked, or what happens to an employee that breaks security? So I got to make sure I set the rules and regulations. So those three layers of information security that are all implemented to make things a little bit easier. So the products, that form the security around. It could be door locks, network security equipment. I want to make sure that people are trained that implement it, and then the plans and policies established that ensure that we use the products correctly. Now, there's some other information that you need to understand. I mean, this chapter has tons of new terminology, but we'll go through some of those. Now, an asset. Asset is the thing that has value. So whether it's the test answers, it's an asset. Your bank account, it's an asset. A threat, it's the type of action that has potential to cause harm. Not saying it does cause harm, but it could cause harm. A threat actor, it's the person that implements or the power to carry out the threat. So just to give you a rough idea, there's an example in the textbook, somebody wants to buy a scooter, but there's a block in the back, but there's a hole in the fence. So you got the scooter's the asset. The risk they're running is, okay, I don't want my scooter stolen. My threat is somebody stealing it. The thief is actually the thief, the threat actor. The attack vector is basically where do I go through to attack? How am I doing the attack? And then the vulnerability is where's my weakness in my security system? Well, in this case, there was a hole in the fence. So all of these terms are ones you want to do. So the vulnerability is the flaw or weakness that allows the threat agent to bypass security. The threat vector is the means, in this case, am I crawling through the hole? Am I hacking into a MAC address or an IP address? The risk is a situation that involves exposure. Now, based on that risk, there are basically 4 different types of responses to risk. One, I can accept the risk. I understand I'm taking a risk that I'll leave my car unlocked and the sign saying, please take me. I understand it. I'm not taking any steps to prevent it. Transfer. I can transfer my risk. I don't want it, but I'm going to pay insurance that when my house burns down, somebody else is going to help pay for that. So yes, there is a risk. I accept it, but I'm going to transfer that risk to somebody else to protect myself. I'm going to avoid, identifying risk to make the decision. It's basically, I'm just going to identify a risk and making the decision not to engage in the activity. I'm just not going to do it. Or I'm going to mitigate. I'm going to attempt to address the risk and make the risk less serious. I may not be able to totally stop the risk, but I may mitigate, just kind of reduce the odds that they'll happen. And here's the little bit of different, but here's some things: an asset, employee database, the threat, I could steal the data. A threat actor could be an attacker, a hurricane, a storm can be a threat. What do I do when the power goes out? Vulnerability could be a software defect, so on and so forth. So as you can see, these terms are used a lot in this class, so just get comfortable with them. Now, why is it important? Can be helpful in information security, can be helpful in preventing data theft, in stopping identity theft, maybe avoiding legal consequences if you don't secure somebody's information. Making sure, from a business standpoint, my company is still productive. And maybe it's a way of foiling cyber terrorism. Now, preventing data theft is preventing data to be stolen from its primary objective of whoever had the original information. Enterprise data theft could be proprietary business information. Our personal side could be credit cards, our personal information. Now, thwarting identity theft is one. I got to identify, identity theft is, what is it? Stealing another person's information and usually using it for financial gain. I'm not going to steal your information and then make deposits in your bank account. Now, some ways you can do it: you can steal your social security number, create a new account, charge purchases, maybe file fraudulent tax returns. Your textbook goes into how much, $5.8 billion a year in fraudulent payouts, probably 300 million false tax returns. There are some laws, protecting privacy data. That one, we're all aware of HIPAA as far as the health insurance. But you may not be familiar with some of the other ones. The Sarbox deal with those, I think, are doing with business. And then the Graham-Leach-Biley Act has to do with banking. So you got several different things. And this last one here is, this is a California database, but actually when a problem occurs, companies have laws on the books, except for about like 3 states in the country that don't, notifying people that, hey, within 48 hours, you've got to notify people that your database has been hacked, your identity may have been stolen. So there's just notification possibility. Because there is a cost of these attacks, based on the size of your number of employees, how much money they get paid. It could be very costly very quickly. We're talking, you get 1,000 employees and it take just a few days to clean up. It could cost me, $250,000 and, thousands of hours in expense and employee productivity. Cyber terrorism. We've all heard about it. It's a predetermined, politically motivated attack against information, computer systems, computer programs, and data. They're not there for financial purposes, but they're usually there to cause panic, provoke violence, maybe, result in catastrophic, financial catastrophic, stock market crashes and things of that nature. So the targets in those cases are banking industry, military installations, power plants, so on and so forth. Now, who are these people? Who are the threat actors? Now, threat actor is a generic term to describe individuals who launch attacks against others using their computers. Most want financial gain. Financial cybercrime is basically in 2 categories. One, it focuses on individuals as victims, and second one focuses on enterprises and governments. But there are different types of threat actors based on certain characteristics, based on attributes, where their funding is, whether they're internal, external to an organization, and their intent and motivation. Now, one of the types is called script kiddies. Script kiddies are individuals who attack computers, yet they don't have computer knowledge or the network they need to do it. They download hacking software from websites, and over 40% of the attacks that occur today require low or no skills in computer networking or computer programming. So they kind of group this into a group of untrained but easy access tools that allow people to access. Gives you a rough idea. Here you got, skills needed to create attacks. All of these here, you got no skills, low skills, maybe some moderate, but here you got, 41% of all the attacks require no or low skills. So we're not all being attacked by super hackers like you see in the movies. We're being attacked by, most of them are by low skilled hackers. Now there are some that attack based on ideology reasons. The reasons maybe not be well defined, but that's their motivation. Couple of examples: breaking into a website, changing contents to make a political statements, maybe disabling a website, belonging to a bank, so things that they do it for a purpose. And now there's another couple of terms here. You got the nation state actor. These are an attacker commissioned by a government to perform attacks, whether it's China attacking the U.S. or the U.S. attacking us. But these are well-resourced, well-trained attackers. Advanced persistent attack, basically multi-year intrusion campaign that targets highly sensitive economic, proprietary national security information. I mean, they are all over, they're consistently trying to attack. We saw lately about, okay, what did Russia do to potentially affect the last election? That's an example of nation-state actors. Now, what I think is scarier is 58% of the breaches caused by insiders, employees, contractors, business partners, that actually, they're upset, disgruntled with, losing a job or not getting a promotion, the stock trader trying to conceal losses due to, fake jobs. Employees may be bribed to give them information. So a lot of these, 58%, are all by insiders. So here's just a summary of the threat actor and who may be, a little bit of who they are and what they do. Now, how do I defend against this stuff? Well, there's 5 basic principles for this: layering, limiting, diversity, obscurity, and simplicity. Layering basically is just information unit must be created and layered. If you just put a single secure method in, it's easy to break in. But if I put multiple layers of security, it just requires, they have to go through everything to get access to it. So it can be useful in resisting a lot of different attacks, and it probably provides the most comprehensive protection. Another way of doing it is limiting access. I only give you access to the information that you need to do your job. Whether I do it with technology, as file permissions, or by procedures, who can remove a document from the premises, So it's by putting together information and processes in place to limit who has access to the data. Diversity. It's closely related to layering, but the layers must be different, diverse. So even though I've got multiple layers, but I want to make sure that each layer is a different manufacturer, different type of security. So even if you break through one, now you got to change the game again. You got to change, okay, wait a minute, this went from picking a lock to biometric reader to heat sensor reading to, the security guard at the gate, whatever the case may be. There's different layers, so different steps you have to go through to take that into consideration. Obscurity. I want to make sure that I hide information to outsiders. I'm not revealing the type of computer, operating system, software we use. So it becomes difficult for the attacker because they don't have enough information to break in. And of course, even though the nature of information security is complex, sometimes if you make it too complex, they're difficult to understand, difficult to troubleshoot, and then people try to find shortcuts to get around it because it's hard. So you got to make sure that your secure system must be simple enough from the inside for the users to make sure they can implement or follow the procedures and tools, but complex from the people on the outside so they can't break in. Now, to try to put around, an architecture around a lot of this stuff it's basically, how do I provide a resource to show a secure IT environment? It's kind of an overall program structure and security management guidance to implement a secure program. There are different frameworks and architecture based specific to particular sectors in business. But some, but it could also be some are different U.S., some are different from the outside world. So this chapter is basically a high-level summary of information security. Hopefully it gives you a little bit of a taste of what it is, and hopefully we can get a little bit deeper into a lot of this. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.